The docking bay of Station Kepler 440 hummed with the usual cacophony of interstellar commerce. Zrelix stood in the shadows of Bay 7, his for manipulator appendages clutching a worn data slate that had belonged to his father. The Catharian engineer's chitinous exoskeleton was dulled with age and poverty, a far cry from the lustrous sheen of his more successful peers. Then he saw it. The vessel glided through the atmospheric shield with a grace that defied its brutal, angular design. It was a human warship, or what remained of one. The hull bore the scars of 1,000 battles, plasma burns, kinetic impacts, and the telltale scoring of particle beam weapons. But it was flying. By all the gods of the 17 systems, it was still flying. My father died in one like this, Zrelix whispered, his vocal sac trembling. The words carried further than he intended. A human woman emerged from the ship's cargo ramp, her boots clanging against the metal deck. She was tall by human standards, with dark hair pulled back in a practical bun and eyes that had seen too many wars. Her flight suit bore the insignia of the Terran Expeditionary Fleet. "Did you say something?" Nancy asked, her hand instinctively moving to the plasma pistol at her hip. Zrelix froze. Humans were legendary, and not always in ways that inspired comfort. They were the species that had taken a backwater planet in an unremarkable system and turned it into a force that made the Galactic Council nervous. They were the ones who looked at a generation ship and said, "That's too slow," then invented faster-than-light travel through sheer stubborn refusal to accept physics as an answer. I apologize, Captain," Zrelix stammered, his translator struggling with the human language. "I did not mean to disturb you." Nancy's expression softened slightly. She'd seen that look before, fear mixed with something else. "Curiosity, maybe. Or pain. You mentioned dying," she said, approaching the alien engineer. "In a ship like mine?" Zrelix's primary eyes focused on the vessel behind her. 43 cycles ago, the humans came to my world. We were at war with the Vrex Dominion. They were efficient in their genocide. My people were dying by the millions." He paused, his breathing apparatus clicking softly. "Then your ships arrived. Old ships, like this one. Ships that should have been decommissioned decades before. Ships held together with, as you humans say, duct tape and prayers." Nancy smiled grimly. "Sounds about right. My father was a civilian engineer. When the human fleet needed repairs, he volunteered. He worked on a destroyer, the UES Indomitable." Zrelix's voice cracked slightly. "He told me that human ships made no sense. They were inefficient, used outdated technology, consumed too much fuel. But they worked. They always worked." A second human descended from the cargo ramp, a younger man with sandy hair and grease stains on his uniform. Parker carried a plasma torch and wore the easy confidence of someone who'd been born with a wrench in his hand. "Nancy, we've got a coolant leak in the starboard manifold again," he called out. "And before you ask, yes, I already tried percussive maintenance. Did you hit it hard enough?" Nancy asked. "I hit it with the reverence and enthusiasm our ancestors used when inventing the wheel," Parker replied. "It's still leaking." Zrelix found himself speaking without thinking. "The T-class manifolds have a design flaw. The seals deteriorate under prolonged exposure to hyperdrive radiation. If you reverse the polarity of the cooling matrix and reroute through the secondary conduits, you can bypass the damaged section entirely." Both humans turned to stare at him. "Who's your friend?" Parker asked Nancy. I don't actually know," Nancy admitted. Zrelix's exoskeleton flushed a deeper shade of blue embarrassment. "Forgive me. I am Zrelix, station engineer. 3rd class. I should not have spoken." Parker walked over, extending his hand in the human gesture of greeting. Zrelix carefully wrapped one manipulator around it, mimicking the shake. "3rd class nothing," Parker said. "You just diagnosed a problem our own engineers have been scratching their heads over for 3 weeks. How'd you know about T-class manifolds?" "Those are military spec. My father," Zrelix said quietly, "before he died on the Indomitable, he taught me everything about human engineering. He said that understanding how humans built things was the key to understanding humans themselves. You don't build for perfection, you build for survival, for adaptability, for the refusal to give up." Nancy and Parker exchanged a glance. "What happened to your father?" Nancy asked gently. The Indomitable led the final assault on the Vrek's command carrier. Zrelix said, "My father stayed on board to keep the weapons systems operational. The ship was falling apart around them, but the humans wouldn't retreat. They pushed forward until the carrier was destroyed." He looked down at his data slate. 47 crew members survived out of 300. My father was not among them. Parker's jaw tightened. "The Battle of Thar-Ax Ridge, you know it?" Zrelix asked. "My grandfather served on the Indomitable," Parker said. "He told me about the Catharian engineer who refused to leave his post, even when the captain ordered him to evacuate. Said that engineer saved 30 lives by rerouting power to the emergency transporters." In the final minutes, Zrelix's entire body went still. "That was my father?" "Chief Engineer Zrel," Parker confirmed. "We have his name on the memorial wall at Fleet Command. He died a hero of the Terran fleet, even though he wasn't human." Nancy stepped forward. "Zrelix, how would you like a job?" "Captain, we need someone who understands these old war horses," Nancy said, gesturing to her ship. "Someone who knows that human engineering isn't about elegance. It's about making sure the damn thing works when everything's going to hell. Parker and I are hauling relief supplies to the frontier colonies. The pay isn't great, but it's honest work." Zrelix looked at the ship, the same class that had saved his world, the same class that had killed his father and made him a legend. "I would be honored," he said, his voice steady for the first time. As they walked toward the cargo ramp together, Parker threw an arm around the alien engineer's shoulders. "Fair warning, the ship is held together by spite and recycled parts. You're going to hate it." Zrelix's mandibles clicked in what passed for a Catharian smile. "My father always said that human ships were impossible. I think I will feel right at home behind them." The defiant Dawn hummed with renewed purpose, ready once more to prove that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology. It was their refusal to let anything or anyone stay broken. End.